Yeah, I've noticed that in so many things is understanding what the other person needs to show them honor and respect.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing, I guess, when it comes to prioritizing, is making sure that mom and dad are on the same page and they feel comfortable with stuff before we just open it up to the masses, which is our tribe, for communication. Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jacquie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world. Okay, we're back, and I was just instructed off recording that I'm not allowed to do jokes this one because we can't have them every time, correct?
Yep, that's true.
You didn't think I was going to call you out for that?
I just think we need to accommodate all people listening on this, and not everybody needs a joke. They don't appreciate them like you do.
Come on, we were just somewhere, and somebody was hearing our podcast, and you thought they were going to ask you a question about something to do with a topic, and what'd they ask you?
If I enjoyed your joke.
They said, you really don't enjoy Greg's jokes?
Yeah.
They were so shocked, honey.
I know, it is shocking. I know.
It is.
It is.
It is shocking. So, anyways, we got to do what we got to do, honey. We got an audience here that appreciates them more than
Maybe
some
I have an
people.
idea. You could do a spin-off podcast. Dad Joke Podcast.
The Dad Joke Podcast. I think we just build it in this one.
Okay.
Anyways, back on topic. So we're talking about, conversations and prioritizing things. I mean, so we talked about maybe doing some more specifics. I let's just go down a couple of things here that I can think of that are kind of in front of us at this point. We already talked a little bit about sports, but we got to think about sports next year now because, things are transitioning a little bit. You got Chrissy now in high school next year, which is crazy, right? And you have Jerus is going to be in 7th grade, so now there's different local sports for his age group. So we're going to have to go through this whole thing again this year and kind of revamp this. The big thing is, though, you and I got to do the legwork and the research and figure out what we're going to be committing to and not allow ourselves to feel, parent guilt about not putting them in every single thing because it's got to work within all the other components of our life, right?
True. And with that comes, like we were talking about earlier, but having those discussions, just you and I, and making sure we discuss them beforehand. And I think one of the things is that when we have these discussions about all things, sports, trips, projects, businesses, all of it, is being open to hear both sides.
Yeah.
Because if you don't listen to both sides, then you get so narrow-minded and you're not really thinking of the benefit of the whole party involved. And so...
Yeah, it's true. And having that's why the almost weekly game planning, we plan stuff week by week, but we also have stuff planned out for a year for the big things. And then we're trying to plan by quarter a lot of times too. We're always trying to think in advance per season the best we can. And there has to be a level of flexibility in there too. And like you said last time, we don't always do everything perfect and we learn from it and we adjust, but there's a lot of value in hearing both sides of all of it, right?
Yes, and being available to play the part wherever you need to play the part. Yeah. I think we were just discussing yesterday with a couple that we were coaching the importance of in different seasons. Sometimes you're going to have to pick up areas that you may think that isn't what you want to do.
Yeah.
What does it look like to be a real team? Mm-hmm. And we were talking about some specific things for them that would help them. But I can think of, as you are navigating through the different things, really being a team player. We had an opportunity this last week where, lots of business stuff going on this week for us.
Yeah.
Lots of sports going on.
Lots of church stuff.
Lots of church and several commitments as far as flying. Like I was just in a ladies leadership last weekend and then a business conference the next weekend. And then in there, my parents came to visit us, which was fabulous. It was always good when they come and visit. And we got to spend, I think it was 3 or 4 nights. I can't remember the maybe 4 or 5 nights. I can't even remember. Everything's a blur the last 2 weeks. But with that came picking up different avenues together, making sure that all the house was taken care of, not just what were normal roles for
Yeah.
either one of us,
Yeah.
because we had made commitments.
Yeah.
So for us, whatever that looked like, if that meant opportunity for Greg to step in and help with something that typically I would have on my plate, or him to step in and take care of something that was typically on vice versa, or I had on his plate, he had on my plate, that we would step in with an attitude of, hey, we're doing what we got to do as a team.
Yeah.
Or sometimes even prioritizing what's important. Our kids have had to decide sometimes that, hey, this sport's really important for this kid at this time, at this night, at this season. We're going to have to hold back and you're not going to do a sport right now.
Yeah.
And explain that to kids, because it doesn't always make sense. I mean, our situation right now, with 6 different kids, you can imagine they all want to do a sport every season.
Sure.
I mean, that's nature. We all want to be involved in something all the time, but it's not always going to work out. So how can we support what the other person is doing, the other kid is doing, even if you didn't get a chance to play a sport right now? Because your season will come where you can. And teaching our kids that kind of stuff has been really important too. Or how important it is to prioritize certain things that we have to do. Sometimes we have to go do certain business things. And with that means sometimes you're going to miss an event. I mean, how many times have our kids we just had to tell them, I'm sorry, but right now you're not going to make it to this event because we have to go take care of something that will help our whole family.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like a whole process to all of this, but you and I we really try hard to make sure that we have alignment between us about what are our dreams for the future, whether it's some financial goals, whether it's a level of family connection, our marriage connection. I mean, that's our guardrails on our path. So we have to literally keep them in front of us when we're thinking through anything. And I was just thinking about recently, you and I had a conversation where we were just talking about budgeting, talking about money, because, right now here in this season, it's been a really unique last couple of years, right? Where, literally groceries have doubled in prices. And it may not seem like a big deal to some people, but when you have 8 people in a household and 3 big, two show pony dogs and plus Molly.
Did you just call Molly a big show pony?
No, but she was supposed to be like, 15 pounds, and she's 28. So she, by association, is big for what she's supposed to be. Yeah. Anyways, but everything's become a lot more expensive, and all of a sudden you're talking about an extra $1,000, $2,000 a month just for groceries. You talk about everything from gas. You talk about going out to eat. We can't even get out of a Chipotle for $120, with our family, which is just crazy. And so you like Chipotle too. Yes, you do.
Are you doing more jokes?
Huh? No, you should like it. It's really good. Anyways, so we just had a conversation recently. We're like, okay, one thing we probably should do, we're fans of making sure that we're stewarding money. We're fans of, there's a great book called, I think it's called The Storehouse Principle. And it talks about, determining some of the things, your wants versus your needs. And, with things the way that they are right now, if you just went out to eat with your parents the other day, right? And it was a $300 meal, and it wasn't even a super fancy place or anything. It's just the way it costs. So we've started to just decide that, all right, let's start putting money that we would put towards eating out 2 or 3 times a week towards a storehouse. And that way it keeps building up for investment opportunities, things like that. And then we just decided that we're going to have, eating out like once a week when we do our family team meeting. It takes pressure off of you. So my point about this is, like, you and I communicate this. We talk this through. We get on the same page. And then we go to our kids and it's like, well, this is how this is going to work, right? And instead of you and I having ideas about how maybe it should work, but we haven't gotten clarity between us. And then we start dabbling with conversations with the kids. And I don't know, that's how you start getting some kids on one parent's side and some kids on another parent's side. And then there's weird tension, and it's got to start from, you and me being in alignment.
Yeah. I've noticed that in so many things, is understanding what the other person needs to show them honor and respect.
Yeah.
And that's the important thing, I guess, when it comes to prioritizing, is making sure that mom and dad are on the same page and they feel comfortable with stuff before we just open it up to the masses, which is our tribe, for communication.
Yeah.
And you might think, well, when do you just get to speak freely and stuff to your kids? Well, that's not the situation we're in. It's us first, then our kiddos,
That's right.
And if you want to open up everything to your kids first, maybe you're both super flexible and okay with just telling them, hey, we changed our mind all the time. But for our situation, the few times we do have to go back and tell them, hey, guess what? Actually, we already thought this.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do right now. Not that our kids aren't good about stuff, but by nature, they look disappointed.
Yeah.
Right? And then from there comes the guilt. And then comes well, we said we would do it. Let's just do it. And let's not put ourselves in this position again. And then comes resentment and anger. When if we had just talked about it, we might have been able to prevent some of this.
Yeah, it's like literally like 90%, I think, of most people's problems.
Yeah.
When you flash forward and just take a snapshot of a day, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. I woke up this morning, I was scrambling around. My kids were kind of unappreciative about this. I have 5 meetings on my schedule. I have 3 sporting things to go to. My husband's over here and he's got this business stuff and he's handling that, but I'm handling this. We go to bed and we're not even talking and we're disconnected. And it's like, how did my life get here? And it's like, well, most of it is exactly right. It's like layers of lack of conversation and planning that you have to do on the front end. That then for us, even though because we do so much planning and get in agreement, I'm not saying there's not stress, but there's not nearly what there would be. But it's all that upfront effort, is what we're kind of trying to drill home here, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think no matter what, I always talk about all the time, like I can be in like one of the most important business meetings. I mean, so can Greg. We can be sitting practically next to each other doing some sort of calls or Zooms or meeting. And the mom role never wears off.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how everybody else's house is, but I don't know if they just forget that dad can help them with stuff or what, but they have me on speed dial. It feels like 24/7. I mean, literally this morning we were on this important Zoom call and here comes our 4-year-old walking right by the Zoom call, right into the bathroom.
Hair
next
all
to us.
everywhere because she just got a bath.
And walking right by us into the bathroom. And all I hear is, Mom? And I'm like, it wasn't Dad. It wasn't anything. Mom? Yeah. I just went poop.
I know. We're on a business Zoom.
Okay.
So funny.
And I'm just like, Dad, did you hear that? I'm in the middle of something. Honey. Hold on. I know you are. I know you are. I was too. But
You're better at it.
But I just say all that because it's just super important to understand that sometimes no matter what you plan, those kind of situations are going to happen. And when they do, like having that discernment that we've done the best we can, but then things are going to happen and we're going to have to just work through things sometimes. You know what I mean? And schedules are going to change and things are going to happen. But the biggest thing I think that we like to encourage everybody to do is understand that, first comes husband and wife discussing it. You might need to be picking up different areas that you didn't always think you'd be picking up just to help in the season that you're in. And also to have the flexibility that, you know what, when you have promised something and it's not going to work out, to let your kids know that and be honest. Hey, I promised before I really looked at our calendar with mom or dad. I promised before we really thought this through. I'm sorry to disappoint you. It's not my intention, but right now we're going to pause and not do this. Mm-hmm. And when you do, I think it also teaches our kids the importance of understanding that, you know what, sometimes things just aren't going to work out the way we thought. Even if it was for sports, or even it was because I thought I was going to a birthday party, or because I was, going to get an opportunity to go to an event with somebody, or I was going to get to go on a trip with somebody or something like that, that all of us are going to go through things that we're going to need to cancel things sometimes. And once you do, cancel them, move on, and have a good attitude about it, I think is one of the key things to all that.
Yeah. I think I remember hearing the quote that you either have the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. I think in family, it's more you're going to have the pain of the upfront discipline or you're going to have the pain of chaos.
Mm-hmm, true.
With all the moving parts of a person's life, especially high achievers. And so, and we've noticed this, whether it's with diet, whether it's with schedules, whether it's with communication, weekly team meetings, that for our kids, that consistency and almost like a planned expectation, it really creates so much peace for them, And so I know there's flexibility, some things change, but I mean, probably 80%, 90% of this stuff that we do on a weekly basis, we've already had it planned out and mapped out and communicated it, and we roll with it, right?
Yeah, and that way then, because we have stuff kind of mapped out, when surprises come our way, like we got invited to something or an opportunity shows up or whatever, we can realistically look at our calendar and see if it's going to fit, and if it is, gosh, what an extra bonus this week. We get to go do blank, but if not, nobody's disappointed because we already had enough on the calendar.
Yeah.
And I think that's the neat thing about kind of discussing it ahead of time. And I have noticed too, one thing that we've always gotten, ourselves in trouble for was maybe sometimes having conversations in front of kids, even though they were only conversations for you and me.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I got to tell you, actually, maybe we can talk about that next. I think that'd be a whole other topic.
That is a topic. Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. And we have great news. You get more of us. You can expect new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. So be sure to consistently tune in with us and enjoy our show. See you next time.